At the moment, there is a clear divide between the beginner controllers and the more expensive and advanced professional models. But this, the brand new Inpulse 500 by Hercules, aims to take the entry-level controller and last much, much further into a DJ's progression. Let's have a look at it. So here it is, the DJ Control Inpulse 500 by Hercules. Now before we start with this review and guide, this video is going to be quite long. So feel free to check the description below where we will timestamp the individual parts of this review. First of all, we're going to look at just what sets this apart from all the other beginner controllers out there. First of all, as you probably noticed already, the size of the thing. It is very large for an entry-level controller. In fact, until Newmark recently released the Mixed Track Platinum and Pro effects models, which are identical in width, we'd not seen a beginner controller this large. But the big build means that this controller has a really nice spaced out layout. It allows for some really cool and interesting features as well. First of all, we've got the fact that the controller is broken up into 3 sections. This is really nice because the middle mixer section actually has a metal faceplate on it, which is completely unheard of on a beginner controller. The big build also means we've got large 6-inch capacitive jog wheels. These feel absolutely beautiful. They're buttery smooth, really nice bearings in there. Feel a lot like the Newmarks actually, which means these entry-level controllers, jog wheels are coming on a long way. It's really nice to see. The entire build of the controller stands up on feet if you want it to. When you stand it up on the 4 feet, which are closed in each corner here, not only does it glow some white LEDs down on the table below, which looks really cool, it also raises it up to the same height as a professional mixer or CDJ media player. This is perfect for DJs that might be taking this to their first gig and they'll need to plug it into an external mixer for the XLRs that the professional mixer has. This will stand the same height, look very professional. It's a really neat feature and also saves the controller from getting wet should anyone spill a drink on the table. All the buttons on the controller are rubber coated. They've all got a nice click at the bottom of them. It really does feel very premium indeed. The 8 RGB pads are RGB. Again, that is unheard of at a beginner controller level. For something this price, we really are seeing features that you don't seem to get anywhere else. The crossfader has a dedicated hardware switch to flick between the modes or turn it off completely. There's dedicated cue buttons for not only the 2 internal channels, but the master channel as well. We can also change which side we want to cue directly on the controller. And then whilst we're talking about the mixer, we've got the most prominent feature I think this controller has is the inputs. So on the left hand side we've got an input section, on the right hand side we've got an output section. So you plug in your master speakers here on the right hand side, the master's on RCA out and also unbalanced jack. Unfortunately there's no balanced output, but again, this being USB powered, you know, that's how it's going to be. Left hand side we've got our auxiliary input and our microphone input, which is on a TRS balanced jack. So most beginner controllers that have a microphone input have the input down the back and have the volume knob on the back as well, which means really you're not mixing the microphone in at all. You're setting it to a level and just talking over whatever you're DJing. With the Inpulse 500, we've got not only a dedicated volume control on top of the controller itself, we've also got a dedicated EQ section. So we can, you know, tailor the sound of the microphone to our needs with the EQ. The microphone sounds really nice as well. And then below that, we've got an auxiliary input. Again, you just don't see this on smaller controllers. This auxiliary features a 3.5mm auxiliary input, you know, for say an iPod or a phone, and it also has a line level RCA connection as well for plugging in CDJs, another controller, an external instrument. This has its own dedicated volume knob as well, and just like the microphone, both of these volume controls feature a ring, LED ring around the control itself, which allows you to see if you're peaking. So it will go green when the volume is good. If you go a bit hot, it will turn orange. And if you go too far, it will actually flash red. On top of this, the auxiliary input actually has a hardware low-pass, high-pass filter, which sounds really, really nice. And to quickly demonstrate that for you, and this LED volume light, I'm just going to bring it in a Roland drum machine, which is quite ironic. This drum machine is a rather expensive unit. To pair it with such a entry-level controller is mad, but this is what this entry-level controller is enabling us to do. We can play with these nice toys. So we'll get this drum machine going. You can see the green light, too far, orange, and then red. And then just to show you that high pass filter and the low pass filter. Really nice stuff. Amazing for the price of this little controller. So, this little controller packs quite a punch in terms of its build and its layout. The only downside we do have with the build is the fact, because it's USB bus powered and doesn't have an external power supply, the LEDs are very dim on this unit. This isn't an exclusive problem to Hercules. There's nothing really wrong with the unit itself. It's just the nature of USB bus power. We had the same issue with the Native Instruments Tractor Control S2 Mark III and the S4. If you're using bus power, it just, you can't brighten up these too much. That said, they are RGB, which is great, and this fully works with Dejuiced and with the Serato DJ Lite software. So let's take a look at the Serato DJ Lite system with this brand new controller. So on the top left hand corner of these decks, we've got our performance controls. We have one of these per deck. We've got the vinyl control, the slip control, and the quantize. Now, in Serato DJ Lite, slip and quantize, unfortunately, are turned off. They're disabled. You cannot use them. They are only activated if you use Serato DJ Pro, which will cost you extra money, or the DJU software. The vinyl control, however, does work. The vinyl control basically changes the nature of the jog wheel. So, if we get a track playing, if we touch the top of the platter with vinyl mode on, it will stop and it will allow us to scratch. If you turn vinyl mode off, so we turn it off, when I touch the top of the platter, it doesn't stop, but we can slow down the track or speed it up. Moving down from these controls, obviously we do have the big jog wheel. These feel beautiful. They really are nice units indeed. And then to the left of the jog wheel, we have our loop section. So we've got a loop encoder, which is an auto loop, and then we've got manual in and out buttons. So the encoder first. The encoder, when a loop is not active, you can change the value. So you can go from 1 beat, turn it to the right, double it to 2, double it again to 4, then 8 beats. You press the loop encoder in to activate a loop, and when your loop is active, you can then shorten it or lengthen it if you need to. To exit the loop, all you need to do is just press the loop encoder again, and you'll exit that loop. Below, we have the in and out buttons. These are manual buttons for manual loop. These are great if your beat grid's slightly off or you just prefer doing a manual loop. So what you can do is you can press the in button, and then when you're happy, press the out button, which will create the loop. If your loop's slightly out, like mine is, you can use the in button or the out button again to adjust the loop length. So if I press the out button again, I can use the jog wheel just to bring that up to the beat. There we go. Press it out again. And then to exit the manual loop, just press the loop encoder and you're out. On the right hand side, we've got our sync button. The sync button does what it says on the tin. It will match the beat grid and the BPM to the master deck that's playing. If you want to turn this feature off, you can then press the shift button and turn it off. It's as simple as that. Below the shift button, we've got our cue and our play pause button. It's really nice to see that these buttons aren't rubberized like the pads. These need to be firm, they need to be clicky, so it's really nice to see that. They're also very well spaced out compared to other Hercules controllers that have come in the past. So that is a big improvement, something we're really pleased to see. To the right hand side, we've got our tempo faders. These are not very big to say the controller's so large. It is a shame, but that said, they're very accurate, they're very precise. We had no problems using them in any of the softwares. They worked really well. And then we've got our 8 performance pads in between with our various modes on the top, and I'll run you through them now. So in Serato DJ Lite, you've only got access to certain pad modes, and you've only got access to certain banks within those pad modes. So on HotQ, we've only got access to 4 HotQs. These are RGB pads, so they will light up the same as the 4 within Serato DJ Lite. So we can set them just by clicking them. So we've got a red one, orange, blue, and finally yellow. And then you can just jump back to them wherever you want. You can press shift to remove the ones you don't like. But as I said, you've only got 4. So the bottom buttons here actually act as transport controls in Serato DJ Lite. This happens no matter where you are in the performance pad modes. These are always going to be the same on the bottom. So number 5 will reverse the playhead direction, so you will start playing the track in reverse. Press number 5 again, and you're going forward. 6 is reverse, 7 is fast forward, so we can reverse the track, or we can fast forward through. And then pad number 8 is our center button. So this basically plays the track in reverse for a very short time whilst applying a slip function almost. So you can remove swear words and the track will pick up as if nothing had ever happened. Just like that. Really simple. Moving on to the main mixer section of the controller. With Serato DJ Lite, this big browse knob in the middle will allow you to browse up and down your library. Pressing in to will skip you out of the playlist and let you search for your crates. So I've just entered the Crossfader free music pack there. If you would like to download that music pack free of charge, click the top right corner right now and we will have a free download there for you where you can get hold of all this brilliant music. When you've scrolled through, you can find a song that you like and then you can load it into left or right deck with these dedicated buttons found up top. So one for the left and one for the right. The mixer has a 3-band EQ section, which will allow you to cut the EQ by 24 decibels or boost it by 6. So we've got the high, mid, and low here. We've also got individual gain knobs for the volumes of each track up top. Below that, we have these really nice dark metallic filter pots. So when we've got a track playing, we can sweep them to the right for a high pass filter, and then sweep them to the left for a low pass filter. The mixer has dedicated Q buttons and Q control for your headphones. The headphones can be plugged in with a 1/4 inch or an 1/8 inch jack. Again, something we don't usually see on beginner controllers and something we really champion because having that versatility to plug in more professional headphones really is key for your progression. You don't want to be playing on cheap headphones for the rest of your life. Where it gets a bit interesting with this controller and Serato DJ Lite is the effects buttons. So in the middle here, we have 4 effects buttons. And these remind me a lot of the Tractor S2 mixer effects. And they work, well, they work in a weird way. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the effects panel in Serato DJ Lite, and I will show you them in here. So with nothing pressed, nothing highlighted, this is a high pass, low pass filter, as you just heard. When you press FX1, however, you'll see in the software that the first bank on both FX1 and FX2 is now active. Now these are different effects, but you can change them to be the same within the software, so I'll just change them to be echo. And when you put them on, it will apply an echo and you can, swipe it out or work post fader. When you return to the middle, it turns it off, but you can also sweep to left and it will just apply the same effect. So sweep to left does much the same. So that applies to both sides, FX1, and then both sides again with FX2 turns on the second bank, and then FX3 will apply the third. FX4, however, when you turn this on, when you turn the knob, you actually increase the beat value. So on the right hand side now, I've just changed that from 1 to 2 beats. to 4 beats to 8. And then I can turn that off, return that, and then apply my reverb at 8 beats in length if I want to. Go back to FX4, and I can sweep the left-hand side and go to 16th, 8th, quarter, half, and then back to 1, which is always in the center. It's a weird way of doing your beat divisions, but it works, it's there. So that's how you operate your effects within Serato. Moving back to the performance pads section here, we've already covered hot cues and the transport controls. When you press the loop button, of course, the bottom 4 will remain being transport controls, but we have manual loops again. So this is much like the manual loop buttons we have up here. When you press 1, you set the in point. 2 sets the out point. You can press them again and adjust them if you need to. Pressing 3 will get you out of the loop, and if you press 4, it will jump you back to the loop that you set previously. Just like that. Set 3 again, and you're out. We don't have a slicer mode in Serato DJ Lite, so when you actually press slicer, what you're getting is auto loop. So 8 beats is on 4, 4 beats is on 3, 2 beats on 2, 1 beat on 1. Press them again and you're out. Sampler, again, you've got 4 inbuilt samples with Serato DJ Lite. Make sure that you have the sampler pane open and you've applied some volume to the master here on the right hand side. Without them, you won't hear the samples, but you can press them and they work just like that. Right, let's talk about the beat match guide. Probably the most unique feature that only comes in Hercules hardware, and it's a feature that I really think beginners will love. You turn it on or off with the button dedicated in the middle of the controller. When it's turned on, when we've got a track loaded in that has a beat grid set, so remember you're going to have to set your beat grids, analyze your software, get your beat grids on. When you're playing a track, we can load in another track and it will tell us that we need to either speed the track up or slow down a track to get the tempos right. So we know, because this track's playing out to the audience, we don't really want to mess with that track too much. We're going to speed this track up because it's indicating with this red LED to speed up the tempo of this track. So I will do. There we go. Just using the lights alone. All of a sudden, these tempo lights have gone green at the top of the controller. The light around the browse control here, in Serato DJ Lite, this is actually counting the beats. So it flashes red on the first beat of a bar and then goes blue for the remaining 3. So it'll go red, blue, 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 red, blue, blue, blue. So we know if we press play on the red, it will keep us in phase because it knows when the first beat of the bar is on this track. So we'll wait for it to go red and press play. Like that. Now we can look to these LEDs here. It's saying that we're not quite in time. So what we need to do is we need to bring this track forward, speed it up to get it in time. So I'll keep doing that. There we go. As soon as that's in time, these are now gone green. It says beat line is green, which means everything should be perfectly in time. And look at the waveform on the screen, it is in time. Perfectly in time. Amazing, amazing feature there that this controller has within it. You can turn this off, of course, which is really handy. So when you learn how to beat match using this helpful tool, you can then turn it off and learn to do it by ear, because we always recommend that you learn to beat match by ear and not by looking at your waveforms or looking at this guide. But as a tool to get you started, what a fantastic tool. When you're using the DJU software, you don't get the flashing red, blue, blue light around the browse control, unfortunately, because that's actually reading the energy levels, and we'll look at the DJU software and what the energy levels and what the assistant means now. So here we have the DJU software with the Inpulse 500. Much of this is like the Serato DJ Lite, however you'll find in the DJU software certain functionalities that were locked off by Serato DJ Lite now work. So we do have slip now. Slip will allow us to play a track, and then if we want to make an adjustment, the track will continue playing underneath, and then as soon as we're done making that adjustment, we can let go, and the track will carry on playing as if we'd done nothing at all. Quantize. locks your actions, your button presses, to the beat grid. So if I set myself a hot cue, I can only jump back to that hot cue on time. Playing it any faster or slower, it's still going to lock it to the beat grid at that one beat, which is a really neat feature and something that's not available in Serato DJ Lite. Just like Serato DJ Lite being locked off for slip and quantize, so were the pad modes. So we've obviously got the hot cue, but we've now got access to all 8 hot cues within the DJuice software. So we can set up to 8. These are all RGB, which is great. The color coordinate with the software. Second of all, we've got loop roll. So we didn't have a roll functionality before, but now we do. So we can press these. It's great little rolls, which is nice. We've got the slicer mode. Now the slicer mode can be changed in its divisions with the loop encoder. So it's running quite fast at the moment because it's running per beat, which is ridiculous. So what we want to do is lengthen that, there we go. And we'll have it so each beat is on the slicer button so we can chop up the track and play it as we want. Check out the link in the top right hand corner to learn how to use these performance features. They are quite in depth and you can produce some amazing sounds by using these properly. And finally, we have our sampler volume where you can load in samples into the DJuice software. A really cool and neat feature within the DJuice software is this assistant button. Now the assistant button, I didn't really mention it in the Serato Lite, and the reason for that is it just toggles on autoplay. So autoplay, if you let a track run out right to the end, Serato will load up the next track and play it. It won't mix it, it won't do anything like that. It just keeps the music running in case you're away from the decks. It's a bit of an emergency. So the assistant button in DJuice, however, actually launches a brand new system. So what it does when you press it, it launches this pane on the right hand side and it's suggesting songs based on your current playing song. The color of these tracks change depending on the energy level that the software thinks that track has. So if it's an upbeat, fast tempo song, you can expect to see reds and purples. If it's a more mellow song, you can expect to see greens and blues. This is ideal for DJs who may be having a mind blank and don't know what track to play next. They can just launch this assistant, scroll through, find a track that fits. It's usually in the same key and same BPM because that's how the software figures it out. Load that in. As soon as you load it in, the assistant disappears. You can carry on with your mixing. Really cool feature there. Another feature that DJuice has that Serato DJ Lite doesn't is the ability to stream from Beatport. So in Serato DJ Lite, you've got SoundCloud and you've got Tidal. Beatport is the world's largest online music store for DJ music, house music, tech music. The library is very vast. And within DJuice, you can now stream from its massive library. You can even store tracks offline into the Beatport locker if you want to play without any internet connection, but you will have to pay extra for that service. However, what's really, really cool is that if you're using the tracks from Beatport, so I'll just load one in here, the assistant functionality actually works within the streaming software as well, which is really, really cool. So I've got a track launched in there that I'm just playing. And if I press the assistant button, there we have it. It's suggesting songs to me, not only from my own library, but from Beatport as well, with the same functionality. And as I scroll through, I can load up a track from Beatport that it suggested to me. Really, really cool, impressive stuff there that's only available in DJuice. You can't get hold of that in Serato. And there we have it, our first look and guide to the Inpulse 500 by Hercules. This is a remarkable piece of hardware for the money that it costs. Beginner controllers usually don't have half the features that this is packing in. So this really is the first controller that I can say you can start with and it can carry you through into the next level of your DJ progression. For example, you can be a very beginner DJ learning with the beat match guides that are built into the hardware itself. You can start on DJuiced or on Serato DJ Lite, both are free of charge. And then as you progress, you can start to mix in external sources. You can stand the controller up so it looks at the same height as standalone media players and mixers when you go to your first gigs in bars and clubs. You can even upgrade to Serato DJ Pro and take full advantage of those 8 performance RGB colored performance pads. Of course, it's not perfect. Being USB powered only means that the unit is actually quite dim. We would have liked to have seen it been a bit brighter, but it's a power constraint. You know, we have the same issues with the Tractor S4, for example. And the lack of balanced outputs also mean that it's not quite an intermediate controller like I would say the DDJ SR is by Pioneer DJ. You know, you are limited by the outputs. You're probably going to need a professional mixer to plug into before you plug this unit into bigger club speakers. But this is half the price of the usual intermediate controllers. So for the money, it's not much more than its rival beginner controllers, and it's packing so much more into it. What do you think to the Inpulse 500? Let us know in the comments below. As always, subscribe to this channel for more content like this. Give us a thumbs up, it really does help us. Hit the bell notification for more content just like this, and we'll see you in another video sometime soon. Thanks for watching, take care.